Kicking off a new website project? Well, it should be exciting, right? But for a lot of business owners, there's this little voice in the back of your head, this nagging fear. What if the costs just spiral out of control? You've probably heard the horror stories, projects that suddenly double in price. And the culprit? It's usually the sneaky little budget killer called scope creep. But what if I told you that you have way more control than you think? In this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain and give you the playbook to keep your project right on track, on time, and most importantly, on budget.
So, here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll put a name to that budget-killing problem so we know exactly what we're up against. Then, we'll get into why website quotes can be all over the place and uncover those hidden costs that most people totally forget about. Crucially, we'll talk about your role in all of this before we wrap things up with a simple, powerful playbook you can start using today.
All right, let's start with that feeling, the one in the pit of your stomach when you think about the budget. Let's give that fear a name.
Look, if you're worried about your website project going over budget, let me just say you are so not alone. It's a completely valid concern. In fact, it's one of the most common headaches in project management, period, no matter what industry you're in. And this budget killer, it has a name: scope creep. It's this slow, sneaky process where the project just keeps expanding beyond what you originally agreed on, and it almost always starts with these small, innocent little requests. Hey, can we just add one more feature? Or, could you just tweak this little thing? By themselves, they seem like no big deal, but when they pile up, they create a tidal wave that can absolutely sink your budget and your timeline. And just to be crystal clear, this is not a small problem. Get this, a massive global study of over 1,400 projects found that the average IT project goes over budget by a staggering 27%. Just think about that. That's like taking your project's cost and unexpectedly having to add almost another third on top. For a lot of businesses, that's not just an inconvenience, that's a real threat.
So why does this happen so often? Well, a big part of the problem starts right at the beginning, with the simple fact that getting a straight answer on what a website costs can feel, kind of impossible. Asking how much does a website cost is a lot like asking how much does a house cost. Are we talking about a cute little bungalow with the basics, or are we talking about a 5-bedroom mansion with the pool, custom architecture, the whole shebang? Just like with a house, the final price tag for a website depends entirely on the size, the features, and the complexity you're after.
And this table just lays it all out perfectly. Look at the difference here. On one side, you've got your bungalow, a basic site, maybe 10 pages, a contact form. That's a $5,000 to $15,000 project. But then you look at the other side, the mansion, a full-blown e-commerce site with a totally custom design, user accounts, all sorts of integrations. And boom! The price can easily jump to $50,000 or even well over $100,000. It's the features that drive the cost.
But here's a huge mistake I see business owners make time and time again. They only budget for that initial build price. The thing is, your website isn't some brochure you print once and you're done. It's a living, breathing part of your business. It's an asset that needs ongoing care and investment if you want it to actually perform. This chart really tells the whole story. That initial build cost, the number that everyone fixates on, it's often less than half of what you'll actually spend over the life of the site. The real cost, what we call the total cost of ownership, includes all that other stuff, like maintenance, marketing, and software fees that keep it alive and kicking.
So what kind of recurring costs are we talking about? Well, you've got the basics, right? Your domain name, your web hosting, but then you've got the really critical stuff. Security monitoring, regular backups, and all those license fees for the software and plugins that make your site actually work. These aren't just optional extras. They're absolutely essential for keeping your digital storefront safe, fast, and open for business. Okay, so now that we get all the potential costs, let's talk about the single biggest factor in controlling them. And here's a little secret for you. It's not your agency. It's not your developer. It's you. You're not just a spectator here. You are the most important player in keeping this whole project on track and on budget.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. The data on this is super clear. Your direct involvement is the secret sauce for a project that runs efficiently and stays on budget. When clients are engaged, when they give clear direction and quick feedback, the whole process just works. It runs so much smoother.
So what does it actually mean to be an ideal client partner? Well, it really just boils down to 4 simple things. 1, give feedback fast. Don't let approvals become a bottleneck. 2, make clear, confident decisions. Any ambiguity just leads to rework, and that costs money and time. 3, get your content, your text, your images in on schedule. And finally, and this one is a big one, appoint one single person to be the decision maker. That way you avoid that whole too many cooks in the kitchen problem.
Okay, let's bring all this home. Now that you understand the problem and you understand your critical role in solving it, here's a simple 3-step playbook you can use to stop scope creep dead in its tracks.
You see, the best way to fight scope creep isn't to react to it. It's to prevent it from ever getting a foothold. And your most powerful weapon for that is a detailed, ironclad project plan that you lock in before a single line of code gets written. This is how you get rid of surprises.
Step 1 is to define and document absolutely everything. I mean, get super specific about what the website will do and, just as important, what it won't do. Every feature, every page, every function needs to be written down and agreed on by everyone. The goal here, to leave zero room for assumptions.
Step 2, put a formal change request process in place. Look, new ideas are going to pop up, and that's great, but they can't be casual, hey, can we just conversations. Every single change, no matter how small, needs to be formally submitted. That way you can see its exact impact on the timeline and the budget before you say yes. This puts you in total control.
And finally, step 3. This is the glue that holds the whole thing together. Clear, constant communication. Having regular check-ins and really honest conversations with your agency or developer is completely non-negotiable. This is how you make sure everyone's on the same page, you squash problems before they get big, and you keep the project moving toward the same goal.
So I'll leave you with this question. Is your project plan strong enough to win this fight? Because the big takeaway here is that you are in the driver's seat. By being an informed, active partner who demands a solid plan right from the start, you can take control, you can eliminate the surprises, and you can build the exact website your business needs without ever falling into that dreaded scope creep trap.